Thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. My name is Leah Sarich, and I am the head of story for Thin Air Labs. I'm going to be moderating our conversation for today. So lots to get to. We do have a couple of housekeeping notes right off the top. Yes, we are recording this event, so do keep that in mind. We will have time for some breakout rooms after our speakers, so you connect with us more directly and more genuinely to get all the answers that you need. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to start with our managing partner, James Lockery, to talk about the venture arm of Thin Air and Thin Air Fund 1. Now, because James is on his way to Toronto right after this to actually pitch investors for our fund, we only have him for a few minutes, so he will take a series of questions right after he talks. So if something comes to mind, to just drop it in the chat, and we will break out for some Q&A with James right after he talks. Next, we will hear from Andrew Brown, our Funding Catalyst lead, and he will tell us a little bit more about what the Funding Catalyst service is and how it's helping founders. And then we'll hear from Mitchell Gillespie, our Chief Growth Officer and Product Traction lead, along with Rosemary Sanchez, our Software Development lead, who will talk about the Product Traction service and how it works. So really the goal here today is to ignite venture growth by connecting with you, the founders, our ecosystem partners, and our community. That is what we're up to today. So once our time is up, registered guests can then join us for a happy hour right next door here if you are fully vaccinated and if you have registered. So that event is actually sold out. So only registered guests, please. So what is Thin Air Labs? Thin Air Labs is an ecosystem studio. Now, we came up with this term to describe the unique way that we build globally competitive companies. We invest in very early stage innovation through our venture arm. We help ventures succeed with our impact services, and we help nurture the innovation ecosystem through our involvement and influence with community builders and critical ecosystem partners. So we want to walk you through all of this. So let's start with that venture arm and our managing partner, James Lockery. And a reminder, put your questions in the chat if you've got a question for James. Hi, James. I think you're muted there. Okay, good. Don't we just love this virtual environment? It's so much fun.
Oh, I am. I'm not good at technology.
You and me both. Oh, look at us go. Let me read your intro if I can, James, just so we can remind everybody what you've been up to over the last little while. So James Lockery is an entrepreneur, angel investor, venture capitalist, and volunteer. He is the co-founder of the global fintech company Wave. He is the managing partner at Thin Air Labs, overseeing Thin Air Fund 1 and the capital team. He has worked with thousands of entrepreneurs to help them scale their companies and build what's next. So James, let's start off with that first sort of question. Why, in fact, did you want to start Thin Air Labs?
That's a great question. And I think it just goes to the heart of who I am as a person. I just like working with entrepreneurs. I like new things. I like challenging myself. And the ability to do it with technology and innovation allows us to do so much more than what was possible even just 5 years ago. If you think back even 20 years ago, like what we do today is magic. And I really like the ability to get involved in those things, and especially things that are really important to me as a person and are aligned with my values. Those are one of the great things about investing. You can choose the people that you work with. You can choose the projects that you're involved with, and then you just got to cross your fingers a little bit.
Yeah, you sure do, don't you? Yeah. I know I'm continually inspired by the entrepreneurs that we work with, but tell me a little bit about what it is that you hope to achieve by working with these entrepreneurs.
Yeah, there's obviously, as an investment fund, the first premise behind that is we're a commercial business. We're a for-profit business. So we want to make investment returns off of our investments. So that's what we do for ourselves. It's what we do for our investors. And along with that, and tied into it, is our investment thesis. And we want to focus on building the best companies in the world right here in Alberta. We want to be headquartered here in Calgary. And we want to do it with projects and teams that are really focused on driving deep human impact with the things that they're working on.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what you mean by impact?
Yeah, it really is, you like I said earlier, you have choices about where you can spend your time, money, and energy when you're working in this field. And so I want it to be something that has a positive impact on human beings. And, there's a lot of things that can go into that, when we think about life sciences, but fintech is another one where you have really big impacts on people over the long term. So I'm just trying to figure out how we can make things better by using technology and innovation and entrepreneurialism to drive it forward.
Absolutely. So why don't we talk a little bit about that investment? Tell us a little bit about the investment thesis.
Yeah, it's a regional thesis focusing on the prairies, specifically with the headquarters in Calgary. We invest as early as we possibly can into ventures that are aligned with the way that we want to build projects into the future. And that early investment is high risk. When you're investing in technology before they even have a customer, that's a big gamble. So that's where Thin Air Labs, the entire team, comes into play. Is we put together a team that can help mitigate those risks as they go from that idea to prototype through go to market and validation and scaling. And we just have the expertise around the table to help them. So that's a critical part of it. It's human impact. It's local, it's global in scale opportunities that we want to try and achieve. And we want to do it right here in Calgary.
We sure do. We sure do. Tell us a little bit then about getting the money into these ventures with Thin Air Fund One.
Yeah, so we're raising a $100 million fund to invest in approximately 40 ventures. Again, we'll be investing at the very earliest stages of these businesses. So they are high risk businesses, but we will be putting quite a bit of money into work on them. But the $100 million will be focused in Alberta we believe, based on what we're seeing in deal flow, 75% of that will go into the Calgary economy, creating jobs and wealth and opportunity.
So exciting. And so what we need here in Calgary for sure. Can you talk a little bit about what it is that you're looking for in a company that you're going to invest in?
Yeah, I think the tried and true answer to that, every investor will say it begins and ends with the people, and this is no different for me in the way that we look at things at Thin Air. So we're looking for highly creative, resilient, hardworking, humble, lifelong learner type of people inside of an organization, especially in the founding team. We want to see them be local so that we can help them. Especially in this fund where we're really pushing that as the way for companies to grow, and we've proven that thesis out over a number of years now. We want them to be local. As we go through time, the types of companies that we will be looking at are going to change, but they're going to stay very focused on this human impact. And that's the thing that gets us motivated as a company to get out of bed and go to work every day, is we can change the impact that things have on actual people. And that's an amazing thing.
Absolutely. We're already starting to get some questions coming in for you, James. So let me throw one at you right away here. Someone is asking, when do you like to engage? When they're raising or before?
Oh, way before. Way before. So some of the most successful companies, investments we've made, we've had relationships going back years before we actually made the investment. And that also is this is a really important part for all entrepreneurs, is you should be talking to your investors way more when you don't need money than when you actually need it. And so I like to be, because we like to get our fingernails dirty, we like to be involved, we like to know when we can help. Mm-hmm. And so that's the kind of thing that we like to do, is just stay in touch and be involved in that way.
Absolutely. Here's another one coming in. How much do you invest?
This fund will invest, let me see, catch me off guard. I believe first check into a company could be anywhere from 800,000 to 1.2 million, and it would depend on the deal and what's happening. We will save another 1.3 approximately million for follow-on investing into the companies. And that's a kind of a guideline of what we would do.
Perfect. Are there certain sectors that you're focusing on? Is another question we get often.
Yeah, the human impact sector. So we don't invest in things like photo sharing apps or things that we don't see having big changes in process if it's an enterprise software or fintech. I think I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. We really are sector agnostic, aren't we?
Yeah, we are sector agnostic, and that's we stay away from energy. There's too many great investors in energy in Alberta. Everything else is fair game as long as we know we can help them.
Absolutely. Here's a good one. So why Alberta? Why set up shop here and why invest in Alberta?
Good question. When I was looking around after Wave at where we could have impact, where things are changing, where somebody like me fits in, and I wanted to build companies, I thought Alberta had one of the best opportunities in the world. And I don't say that lightly. When we started Wave in 2009, that was in the nuclear winter of the financial crisis. We had a horrible time raising capital, but the same kind of events happened in Toronto as then subsequently happened in Calgary. And that was a financial crisis, released a lot of capital from a bunch of different areas. It released a lot of talented people from the financial sector. And these people started creating companies, and technologists were available to help these companies. And there was capital suddenly available. And then it's just started sprouting up. And then boom, all of a sudden, 10 years later, Toronto is massive tech center. So when I look at what happened in 2014, 15 with the oil prices and energy prices being so depressed for so long, the same things happened in the economy. It may be larger scale here. And that forced the hands of everybody around to start looking at diversification, whether that's government and policy, investors in the way that they're allocating capital, and entrepreneurs in the projects that they're going after. So that shift naturally happened with the economy. And I noticed that was happening. And it's this amazing collection of ideas and entrepreneurs that are very differentiated than anywhere else in Canada, simply because of the level of talent and the types of problems Albertans typically have solved in the economy.
Excellent. There's a question coming in here. What about new energy, renewables, et cetera?
Yeah, we'll look at some things around that. Again, the energy market's very different than a lot of markets. It's highly regulated, and it's highly speculative as to where it's going. So there's a lot of money that's going in that direction right now. I'm not sure it's one where we're going to see a lot of venture capital money going into. I think we're going to see large private equity going into that more than venture. But we're going to keep our eye on things. I'm sure there's going to be things that are going to pop up.
For sure. Here's a good one. What if it has human impact, but without a technology primary focus? Is it still a proposition that would be looked at?
Maybe. Yes. Yeah, I can say maybe to that. I think the key on it is technology is a scalable variable that you have inside of your business. And so how are you utilizing technology around you to make scalability possible? So if you're a non-tech business that has this massive ability to scale very quickly, yeah, we'd probably take a peek at that.
Yeah, for sure. Sounds good. Here's an interesting one. As organizations grow, one of the first skills that suffer is innovation. As Thin Air Labs grows, with innovation being so critical to what we do, how will we combat that?
So sorry, you just dropped that first part of the question.
As organizations grow, one of the first skills that suffer is innovation. As Thin Air Labs grows, with innovation being so core to the fund, how do you combat this?
I think it starts and ends with people and the way you communicate. A venture fund and the organization of Thin Air Labs is about 25 today. That's large for a venture fund. I don't expect it to be hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people. So I think that tight community of values will remain in check. And I think it just comes down to ensuring we're living the values that we're actually saying our company aspires to, and innovation's right in the heart of it. I think we fail if that actually happens, because we have to connect and engage with entrepreneurs who are living and breathing that kind of thing every single day at the earliest stages. And we have to be able to relate to that. If we lose that, we're going to be in trouble. So it's one of the most important things.
Yeah. The one thing that pops to my mind too is our focus on unlike minds on the team. When you've got unlike minds working together, there's always innovation happening because you're bringing
Yeah.
new ideas to the table constantly.
Yeah, exactly. And ideas, arguments, disagreements, brainstorms, all that stuff, it has to happen. That's why unlike minds are so great to bring together.
Absolutely. We've only got you for one more minute, James, so I'm just going to give you one more question as that incredible truck goes by with all the sirens. This is a good one. You've mentioned what qualities you look for in a founder, but what would really stand out to you as an indicator of success?
Yeah, I don't think there's any one thing that is right there that you can point out. I think if I had to say one thing, probably resiliency is probably the most important thing. But that alone is not going to make an entrepreneur successful. I think there's a pattern of behaviors that are led by values and work ethic and humility that come together to create a great founder.
There you go. James, thank you so much for this. And thanks so much for spending some time with us. I know you have to go jump on a plane. If anybody wants to reach out for capital investment information, we're going to give out Crystal Phillips' email address because she's taking that first intake. So she's crystal@thinairlabs.ca. James, thanks so much for being here. Okay, so again, if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to us through our website or any other means. We would love to hear from you. Okay, moving on. So we have just heard from James. Let's hear from Andrew. Andrew is the head of business development and the funding catalyst lead at Thin Air Labs. He's a serial entrepreneur himself and an ecosystem builder. He has previously founded and built multiple ventures where he raised capital, built teams, and brought products to market. He's also led a number of community-focused initiatives to accelerate the development of Alberta's tech ecosystem. And in just 7 months since the funding catalyst service launched, Andrew and the team have raised a total of $2.9 million for early stage ventures. That is pretty impressive, Andrew, I have to say.
Thank you. glad someone else is acknowledging that too, because I owe a lot to the team that we built to support ventures in this work. It's hard work to go find these types of opportunities and actually work with ventures to position them to submit successful applications. And even to fit it into the overall capitalization strategy of early stage ventures, which there's a lot of unknowns to. And so this is like critical thinking brain going all the time, doing this type of work, and couldn't do it without the funding catalyst team, but also the rest of Thin Air team, the impact service team in particular, that works a lot of times hand in hand in helping support early stage venture. So it's often chicken and egg. We need to build this prototype and generate some traction here. We need some funding to do that. How do all of these things fit together? And that's what's so powerful about a model like we're validating now with Thin Air Labs. So I have a bit of some highlights just to kind of talk about. I don't know, Leah, if you wanted to guide me with questions or if we could just jump right in.
You go for it, Andrew. Go for it.
But just to talk a little bit about what the Funding Catalyst team does, we work with early stage ventures, usually pre-seed. Plus, I'll get a little bit more specific with the types of ventures that we're most successful with. And we help them identify various sources of non-dilutive capital and come up with a strategy to help optimize them for that. And then we go out and actually just do the qualification to make sure that they're eligible for that capital. And then we actually work with them to help them put together applications for that funding, well-positioned applications that check the boxes of the funding bodies that are administering it. So typically an engagement, what that actually looks like from the venture point of view is that we typically start with an audit and a research project. So we dig into all the materials. We work closely with the venture, as James said, before they're ever going to be eligible for any capital. We want to get to know them and really understand what they're trying to do, what the vision is for their venture, and what their execution plan looks like. And a lot of that work of just getting to know each other comes with some strategy work as well. So we dig in and we help identify some key areas that they can focus on to help move the business forward and make them a more attractive company to fund through non-dilutive capital or through private capital as well. Once we identify all the programs that are available, and by the way, we have a data set of 10,000 plus different opportunities across North America for non-dilutive capital for these types of ventures. So once we filter those down and kind of create a roadmap that's going to optimize for them, we then identify the programs that we're going to help support them in putting together applications for, and we get really laser focused on executing those applications applications in short order to make sure that they're going in on time. But they're also kind of the approach or the approach that the funding bodies want you to kind of go through is also adhered to as well as we're working with them. We then work with the ventures themselves, put all that together. We identify some material that we might need to help co-create: business plans, updated pitch decks, pro forma forecasts, market research assessments, all of that sort of stuff that we can also help ventures execute on. And then we work with the ventures to submit those applications, and then follow up with the funding bodies to make sure they have everything they need to make a decision. So all of that is kind of just a typical funding catalyst sprint. In the event that a venture is a little bit earlier stage and needs support in some of those areas, we can also execute on what we call an investment readiness sprint. This is a little bit more tied into some brand identity work, logo creation, helping early stage ventures really put together the foundation they're going to need to build their venture on top of. So we dig as deep as that in terms of going into logo development, brand guides, website stuff, everything that's going to help position their venture when they start going out and raising capital, either from angel investors or VCs or public funding opportunities. We can also do things like put together a business plan, do a lot of strategy work around that, a capitalization strategy, which then leads into a funding catalyst sprint. And then what's really valuable about that type of work is we can also identify ways to generate early traction to actually move the business forward, and also be able to back any applications or a pitch deck with actual traction metrics that we can point to. So typically, we look to engage with the funding catalyst sprints in particular with companies that have raised a little bit of outside capital. They have some early market validation, likely an MVP that's on the market or in customers' hands, and it doesn't necessarily equate to revenue, but typically some good indication or signal from the market that this concept has legs, and are generally looking to gear up for a future funding round and want to leverage private capital to unlock non-dilutive and whatnot. And we jump in and help them strategize that, make sure that they're optimizing all of the capital that they're bringing in, so no overlap between Shred and other sources of non-dilutive capital that might make some of those expenses ineligible. And then we basically just jump in and do the heavy lifting of trying to get the attention of these different funding bodies and help them put together really well polished and fundable applications.
Terrific. Listen, Andrew, thank you so much for that overview. I'd love to just park you right there because we lost a bit of time off the top, and then we'll just get you connecting with everybody in the breakout rooms after, if that works for you.
Yeah, looking forward to it. So lots of ways to get in touch, and I think we'll feature them as we get to the end of the session here, but looking forward to hearing from a lot of folks in the audience. I just wanted to say really quickly, all the folks here, it's mostly founders and builders. I think that was identified by Brett and a couple others in the chat as well. So it's so good to be here with an audience that is building the next generation of venture here in Alberta.
Well said, Andrew. I am so continually inspired by this particular group of people. Thanks for that, Andrew. Well, finally, let's take a look at our product traction service. So here to tell you more is our Chief Growth Officer. We've got Mitchell, and he's going to tell us a little bit about that. He's leading our product traction service. He's also our Chief Growth Officer. We'll also hear from Rosemary Sanchez, our Software Development Lead. So Mitch joined Thin Air Labs after 10 years of startup product management and leadership experience working in fintech for both B2C and B2B companies. A career highlight for Mitch was leading iterative market validation of Wave's invoicing and credit card payment solution, which now processes hundreds of millions of dollars on a monthly basis. And aside from PM work, Mitch has taught for BrainStation, Product Faculty, and Mind the Product. He loves creating light bulb moments with entrepreneurs as they overcome obstacles to create extraordinary outcomes. Rosemary has almost 20 years of experience in tech, from building websites and enterprise software to team leadership. A career highlight for Rosemary is her time at Benevity, a Calgary fintech unicorn in the corporate giving space. She contributed to the company's culture and growth and was the first developer to deliver a speaking engagement at its annual user conference. Rosemary also loves to teach. She has taught continuing education programs at the University of Calgary and has volunteered in teaching, speaking, and mentoring opportunities with Chic Geek, Women Hack, and Operation Minerva. I work with some pretty cool people, let's be clear. Mitch and Rosemary, over to you guys.
Thanks, Leah. So I'm gonna start crew, and then Rosemary's gonna jump in and add some extra color as well around our execution. So just to kind of kick it off, because we have a lot of founders on the call today, I want you to take a minute before I explain product traction services. I want you to pause, take a deep breath, and I want you to picture yourself 8 to 9 months from now. You're standing in front of investors. You're about to make your next pitch for your next round of financing. What's your story? What empirical validation have you sort of executed over the last 8 to 9 months that has allowed you to be able to stand with confidence and tell these investors that you're in front of that you are the venture worth investing in? You've de-risked your venture more with the validation you've executed, and the signal that you've gotten in the last 8 to 9 months is proving to investors that they really need to double down on you right now. Okay, back to today. Right now, at this moment, is when Product Traction Service is ready to get to work with you. Product Traction Service is a team of experienced cross-functional team members who admittedly have wear the scars and tears of early stage venture development, as well as just enough celebrations for us to know what we're talking about. You as a founder, you often have the fierce understanding of who your target customer is and who they are not. You understand how the customer is going to evolve in the future. You understand your market landscape. You know the critical experiences that need to be delivered to your customers. We're not going to know that. That's what you as a founder, the domain expert, the customer expert, is going to bring to the table. We are your functional expertise, ready to make that happen with you. We pair up with you and we quickly understand the story and narrative that you're trying to shape with your venture. And then we get to work through discovery, designing, and delivering on the validations that you need to achieve the next layer of growth and traction with your venture. So let's talk about how that works. So with our product traction team, there's really 2 types of engagements that we get to work with. First is capability sprints, and the second is execution sprints. With our capability sprints, we often partner and co-create with your team the capabilities and the path to traction. Often with a smaller group of Thinner Lab team members, we're working hand in hand with critical team members to help understand and build the capability in your organization so that you can decide and understand how to iteratively find your path to traction. What the examples of those types of engagements often include helping different functional teams work together, like sales and product, helping showcase different types of insights by giving you the capabilities you need with different types of toolings to see what's working and what's not, helping you digest all the feedback that you're receiving from customers, and processing how you prioritize all that feedback and actually decide what to do about it. Execution sprints are not only just extra people power, but we are a lean, trained muscle that knows how to execute in these conditions. We've worked for these. All of us on this team have worked in startups before. We are experienced. We're cross-functional, and we really just want to roll up our sleeves and get to work with you. So when you think about the execution side of our business, we're really focused on how do we bring the right people to the table with you for the specific product traction metrics you're trying to hit today with your venture. So we're second on when you think about these engagements, we are acutely focused on the harmony of the customer and business outcomes that you need to drive today for your narrative. As founders, you have acute understanding of this. You have a vision of where you want to go. Often it's just trying to decide whether it's the left foot, the right hand, the left hand, or it's just diving straight heads first. Really what we do is we work with you to look at what outcomes you're trying to prioritize, and we work with you to prioritize those things and get to work. And third, from an execution perspective, we're extremely malleable. We work with pre-seed companies that don't have a team to Series A, Series B companies that just need us as an extension because they're trying to get traction in a specific area that is really important for the growth in the current moment. We can work with a dev team without a dev team. We can work as an extension of your product marketing unit. We can be your product marketing unit. We're really designing ourselves to be malleable because we want to attach ourselves to as many ventures as we can to grow the ecosystem in Alberta.
Terrific. Are you almost done there, Mitch? I don't want to cut
I'm
you
done. I'm done. So like just from there, I want Rosemary to jump in and talk a little bit about how we do it even more with our engineering team.
Thanks for that, Mitch. Okay, Rosemary, over to you.
Thank you. Before I talk about some tangible examples of things we've done, I really want to talk about some of the principles and values that we have at our foundation. And we bring these to every interaction that we have with Founders and Ventures. This is how we structure and organize ourselves. So firstly, we are founder focused, and you will see this in our humility in showing work in progress for early feedback, and we build with the founder in mind. Next, we value the founders and ventures' path to independence so that whatever we do with them, we make sure that we do it with standards and documentation so that they can just take it and run with it. And then we also know that we don't have, and by we, I mean the ventures and ourselves, don't have the luxury of years to build something that needs to be done in months or weeks. So we work very lean and not reckless, and we bring focus out of what can feel like chaos to get the things we need done. And we also, because I keep saying we also work as partners and as fellow teammates to drive towards the outcomes we commit to, because we also believe that when we are authentic and empathetic, we can work together and uncover the best solutions for strategies and success. So whether, as Mitch said, whether founders come to us with an existing product that they want to enhance, or they come to us with a very compelling idea and need a team to bring it to life, the product traction team can help in many ways. We are very malleable, as he said. We can build a teaser of a product to put in front of potential customers, and we can use that to measure acquisition. We can create the very first version of a product to activate those first customers. Or if you have something already built, we can build upon it, and we can be working with your team or as your team to get you where you need to go. As for a couple of examples, in one situation, in less than 3 months, we've helped some founders that came to us with an idea, and we narrowed it down. We understood their wide range of potential customers. We narrowed that down to just a couple of customer types, then built a product to solve those most burning pain points. Simultaneously, we also gathered a lot of early customer feedback, ran some customer acquisition experiments to see what they'd respond to. And with all of these things that we've built, we've worked with the founder, and now they can take these things and not only tell their venture story, but show their venture story. And they're a few steps away from running full steam ahead on fundraising. So thinking about that take a deep breath moment that Mitch said, if you're feeling panicked in that breath, know that we can work with you and we can really help you get to where you want to be. In another situation, we've helped a venture who has their own existing development team. Now, they're incredibly focused on their core product. They have so much to do, and they didn't want to pull away from the other things to take away from their main focus. While they were running toward the finish line, we were helping them by digging into some technical possibilities for solutions they were anticipating. We were testing the limits and experiences of these solutions so that they didn't have to. And we also built some tools to support their team, help them accelerate. And as an added bonus, not only do we have an amazing other team we can work with and have fun with, we are also very familiar with their desired outcomes in business domain. So we're ready to jump in whenever they need to hit that turbo button to hit their goals. And we can have lots of fun doing that too. So whether we can be the team or we can augment the team, build an idea or from scratch, build from existing work, we're flexible to many types of situations. And I think this is important because every venture is unique. We love doing this because when founders win by achieving their vision, we also win by building an enriched ecosystem for everyone with that positive impact that James mentioned earlier. Thanks, Leah.
Thank you, Rosemary. Isn't that nice? Just put a little bow on all that. That's exactly what we do. It really is being that founder first. We have so much empathy for what you guys are trying to do. So we just want to help you succeed and then set you off on your path to independence. Rosemary, Mitch, thank you so much for this. Now, I'm sure you've got questions for both of these service lines as well as our capital side. So we want to give you an opportunity to learn more. So we're going to set up some breakout rooms now. Each line will have its own room, and there will be some other options there as well. You can pop in as you like. And after this breakout session, we'll meet back here. So head on to your breakout room. Ben, thank you so much for making that happen. And we are back. Look at that. That was a lot of fun. We hope you enjoyed your smaller groups in those breakout rooms. And to be clear, if you have any questions that have not been answered, do please reach out to us. We are always happy to connect. We always want to hear your story. For those of you who have registered for the happy hour, we look forward to seeing you there at Inner City Brewing. We'll be there right after this until about 7 o'clock tonight. If you did not register, we are at capacity. So we encourage you instead to reach out to us by visiting our website. Or you can email any of us and we'll put that up on our screen there, thinairlabs.ca. And this webinar will be published on our YouTube channel in the coming days if you want to review it. And there's lots of other cool videos there too. So I do encourage you to check it out. So that does bring us almost to time here. Thank you so much, everybody, to spending some time with us here virtually. There's the email addresses there. So we've got one for Funding Catalyst, Product Traction, and our capital investment team. So thank you so much again for spending time with us. We look forward to building what's next with you. We'll see you next time.